Has this happened to you? Sometimes there are things that happen to me in the sewing room that I can't figure out if it's just me, that I'm a bit silly, or if it's maybe that I'm not concentrating, maybe it's something that happens to all of us, or maybe it's something normal. But I get so frustrated when some of this happen that I can't even. The sewing room is always a mess. It's amazing the amount of little threads and dust and bits that accumulate everywhere. So many times I just think, why cleaning? Why bothering to clean every time I do something? Because tomorrow or in 2 minutes it's going to look the same. But I'm sure I'm not the only one. Another thing you do just for the sake of doing is tidying up fabrics, because they never keep tidy. It's amazing how you just look for something and this becomes a mess. It's terrible, it's unbelievable. So I don't know what to do. Some people I know, they do them with a bit of cardboard so they don't lose the shape, and you have them all piled up or back in the drawer, depending on where you have them. And that's a good idea, because this is such a mess. Terrible. And when you come to the point to cutting your pattern, you realize you haven't got your scissors by hands. Where are they? It's really common to lose your scissors on your cutting table, and some people even hang them around their neck with a piece of string, or some people wear aprons in the sewing room, which is really good because you have them by hand and you don't lose them. But it's happened a lot to me, and they're always where you least expect them and really close as well. And I'm sure it's happened to you that all of a sudden you realize you've been sewing on thin air, like the bobbin has been empty for a while and you've been sewing for half a meter or even more without any thread. This happens and there's not much of a solution to it. You just have to keep looking, I guess, and have a few bobbins, a few extra bobbins, so you can keep sewing, change it really quickly and keep on. Ooh. And one thing that just happened to me a few weeks ago was that I sewed my own finger as well. It was so painful. The machine is really powerful. We have to be really careful about where we put our fingers. The needle didn't break the nail, or it didn't get stuck there, thank goodness, but it just ripped the skin. But still, I feel it a bit strange. So, you know, just be careful where you put your fingers. It's not dangerous. You just have to be aware of your limbs. One thing that happened to me last year, I was going to sew a t-shirt and I had my twin needle ready without realizing that my machine was set on zigzag. You can imagine how it snapped just the minute I didn't even sew with it. I had to get a new one. But it was so frustrating. I was so mad at myself. Just silly. So I guess I'm not the only one, am I? That's happened to me so many times. These seam rippers or buttonhole openers are so dangerous. They're really sharp, and I'm sure if you went to the airport with this in your handbag, they'll stop you and send you straight to prison or something. This is a proper, it's almost like a knife, isn't it? It's so dangerous. You have to be really careful with it. Let's see if I finish this. I know! And it ripped my fabric again. I ripped the fabric, not this, but this did really. It wasn't my fault. So they are not only dangerous for yourself, but they're dangerous for your fabrics because they can rip it so easily. That's why they bring a little ball, a protection thing. So after you've taken off a few stitches, you put this one in the seam so the sharp one doesn't rip it. And then something that happens to me a lot is like the machine has lost the thread when it started sewing. That happens because it's a powerful machine, so when it starts, it pulls from the thread and you end up with no thread at all. I'm sure it's happened to all of us. I'm sure, well, I'm not the only one, but the only solution is to leave a bit more thread so you don't need to hassle. It's something silly. It's not such a drama, but still, you want to sew, don't you? One thing I really hate when it happens, and it happens quite often, is when you have everything on the table and you don't know what is a pattern and what is a piece of remnant or a scrap you have to throw, and nothing has shape, and you start looking and moving things around to see if what you're going to sew it is what you need to sew, or if you're going to sew something silly that doesn't make sense. It's just it's so frustrating, but well, let me know then in the comments if some of this happened to you as well, or if I'm the only one. I don't think so. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content, if you like sewing, and if you like talking about sewing. And I'll leave you here a link to all the videos I've done about talking, which are a few already. And I'll see you around. Don't forget to subscribe.